Good morning. It's a nice day here. Saturday morning in the Saksa. Beautiful, beautiful sunshine today. It's chilly, but clear and cold. Good morning. So what's up this morning? The usual crowd, thousands waiting to see what's going to go on today. A wonderful way to end your birthday. Happy birthday. Okay, what's going to be happening today? It's the usual stuff. We're still carving this same block. We'll just do a bit more on the side, and we're going to start, we'll finally start work on the dog. This is show and tell. And I've got some prints. They don't need, let's just peek at them. I won't be doing them on the stream. They don't need embossing, because the printers have done the embossing part, but they'll need me to do some checking and running through. This is the final print in our portrait series. This just came back from Mr. K. We don't call him Kawaii-san anymore because we have too many Kawais in this company. There's two printers now in our staff called Kawaii. This is from Mr. K, Atsushi-san. Maybe you met him in the print parties. Nice embossing on the dino. He's done a nice job on that. So that's my job this afternoon. Check. What's this? This is from Suga-san upstairs. She finished this. Oh, yeah. Suga-san is getting better at this, She's been sending me the prints, and she will give me usually half the group okay, and the other half of the group she'll put her sticker on that says no. And I've just been so frustrated by that because it just means nothing. She's found some infinitesimal detail. So finally she's getting straight. She's marked 4 copies at the back. No. This is a nice one too. It's monotone, but it's good. It's got nice rich depth. She's done a good job on this. And the gray on the moon is maybe a bit too strong. The moon should shine a bit more, but whatever, it's okay. So those later today, I'll be checking those and sending them through to Ome. Our printers are busy, just every day they're busy. Paper is out now. Ishikawa-san, she's not here yet, but she'll be up there. She's working on the 3rd print in this year's series. Kubota-san's working on something at home. I forget what he's doing. Shiharu-san's working. Mr. K. They're busy. I don't know if the business is booming, but we're surviving. If you'd have asked me a month ago or so, I would have said things are booming. It was, holiday season. Now in January it's gone very, very quiet, which we know and we expect. In January and February are tough for us because the income is down because the business is just a seasonal business. It's not a surprise tragedy. But income is down, but expenses are way up in January. We've got advanced taxes to pay for the corporate taxes for the year. We've got huge payments for the benefit stuff. Aoyama-san went to the bank yesterday. He pulled out 800,000 yen. 800,000 yen to send for the different employee benefits. It's pension contributions, healthcare contributions, you name it. 800,000 yen. Dave is in an interesting position here. Dave is, if I was not a corporate overlord, I would be, soak the rich, hit the corporations, help the people, but Dave's a corporate overlord here. So he sees both sides of it. He wants to help his employees and have them have a good life and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also the guy that writes the checks. 800,000 yen yesterday. So I'm on both sides of the equation here. So do we still have printers working from Ome? No, there is only one printer left working in Ome, and she works in Ome because she lives in Ome. It's the first printer we hired, Tsushima-san. She's been with us now 10 years. In fact, we've got to maybe do something because I think it's March or April. She's been here 10 years, our first employee. I was talking about this in the video. There's a video coming out this weekend. I've almost finished the editing. And I was chatting about that inside the video. So it's 10 years. I better look up the date and do something to make her know that we recognize that she's still here. Yes, only one working in Ome. I know. As far as here, I know there's two, or three. It's hard to count. Ishikawa-san still comes here in Asakusa to work. She'll be coming today. She only comes at times when the trains are not crowded. She doesn't want to work at home. She's a classy family, and they don't want to make a mess in their house, so she comes here to work. Okay, looking good. Let's do this. Let's start on the tail. Is that the next door neighbor who printed the Chibi Heroes? No, that was, you mean, we saw the picture, the little young girl. That was the young girl, what was her name? I forget. Little high school girl that lived next door. She's, of course, grown up, moved away many, many years ago. I've forgotten her name. I'm sorry to admit that. Nanami-chan. Nanami-chan. She worked for us for a while, a high school girl next door. Okay, anyway, let you guys talk for a bit. Let me get started here at least, so I don't just waste the whole time here. Let me get started. The stream today will simply be carving here. I've got nothing else to interrupt. We do have a show and tell. We've got a book to talk about. In fact, for a tease then, I can put the name of the book for those of you who want to do some searching and looking stuff up, whatever. There's the name of the book, and here's the name of the designer if you want to poke around and look at stuff while I'm carving here today. Okay, let's get started on the dog here. What's wrong now? All the setup today, all the cameras, the tripods, the lights, everything is all messed up because yesterday was video. The last 2 days was video. And everything went upstairs. The lights went upstairs. I took the carving bench upstairs, everything. So this has all been messed up and replaced. So what we do with this hair, with this fur, it's sort of like carving the hair on the woman. We're going to do a miniature version of carving the hair. So for each group, we first cut a shallow line. So that as we're carving the hairs, they run off into this line, that line. And we'll do the same thing on the outside. And you're going to see this repeated again and again and again. This whole dog, all these dogs, they're only defined by hair. There's no lines that define their bodies. Now let's grab a point inside. we getting closer? I don't know. There's our first group, and this is what it's going to look like, just one hair after the other, one by one by one. They're tapered, they're thicker on the inside here than on the outside, so they've all got a taper down to the end. And I can't really actually see each one well in this form. So we can generally get it right now, and then after test printing, absolutely, after test printing, I'll need to go through them and shave here and there. Some of them I can see now. There's a lump at the end of this one. We can take it off now. But lots of them we just can't see at this stage. So just get it close. And then after test printing, have a look at it. This is why when you see I have the blocks that come back from our carver Kawasaki-san, and they're already test printed, so I never see the clean wood. She's already proofed it. So. This one's different, it's curved in. So I'm not sure what news or something is there. I don't really know. I don't have any particular news and stuff. The restaurant next door is up and running. Very, very few customers yet. I chatted with a young lady yesterday. She knows that it's going to be awfully quiet for a while. And they're clearly there for the future. I chatted with her about this. I said, you know, I sort of half joking, I hope you've got lots of money in hand because it's going to take a while. And she says, no, we know, we're ready for this. Part of it is they built it now and they got started up now because they felt it was cheaper to get going now. That in this downtime, while business is down, they felt it was cheaper to get started at this point. So they've made their investment and they're clearly waiting for the future. And she said it's a good chance to train the staff and get going and set up their new business while there's so few customers, you know, rather than opening with a huge bang and failing, you know. And this was, I guess, I don't know, 11 o'clock in the morning or so we were talking, and after we finished chatting there and like I moved on and she made a gesture inside like, why don't you, I know, lunch, huh? And I had to tell her, I'm sorry, I don't go to restaurants, and I haven't been in a restaurant since March, and I'm not going, you know. And she just giggled at me. You know, she thinks I'm whatever, overly careful, foolish, but whatever. You know. So after this is all over, after we've got our vaccines or whatever, after society seems to be generally safe, then I'll happily go in her restaurant and have lunch. But not today. The video that's coming up this weekend, it's another one in the David's Choice series. It's David's Choice number 12. And the theme is, it's the collection. I'm going to introduce the Mogohan collection. I mean, most of you guys on the stream here watching this know about that because we talk about it all the time. But there are many, many people out there in the YouTube world, people watching our channel who don't know about it. So I'm going to take one video, the whole video, and explain the collection, how it came to be, the concept for it, what our plans are for it. And yesterday I tried an experiment. I've never done this before in one of our videos. I tried a screen capture. I thought perhaps the easiest way to explain about the collection would be to sort of browse it while people watch. So I tried that. I tried doing a screen recording while I browsed through some of the collection, and I recorded it. And that'll be part of the video. So. It should be ready this afternoon, Japan time this afternoon. Oh, I know. There's something else I was supposed to discuss on the stream here. I was supposed to do it early, in the early part of the stream. I've had a couple of requests, one email just the other day and then one a few weeks ago, from people in Europe. And some of them are understandably a tad frustrated by the timing of our live streams. I've been doing the 3 live streams a week, all at exactly the same time. For me, 8 o'clock in the morning in Japan. And that means for people in Japan, it's sort of accessible. And for people in North America, it's sort of accessible. The west coast of North America now, it's late afternoon, early evening, whatever. And for the east coast of America, it's still very much an accessible time. But for people in Europe, it's not so much fun. It's now everybody's going to bed, getting ready for bed. So it's quite common to have European visitors for the first few minutes of the stream, and then, of course, they disappear. Got to go to bed. Goodbye. And the request has been that Dave, instead of doing all 3 streams each week at the same time, do at least one of the streams, please. Do it at a time that's more suitable for viewers in Europe, of whom we do have a lot. So the idea is on the table for discussion. What would be a good time to do that? And it's got to be a time that's manageable, of course, for me as well. I don't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and do one. I really can't disrupt my schedule. I've learned now at my age already that if I get up too early and stay up or stay up too late, it just destroys me for the day. So it's got to be something that can be done within the normal frame of my own life here. But if I did one that, say, for example, 5:30 or 6, if I said, say, 6 in the evening here, that's 10 in the morning for many Europeans. Is that a useful time for a stream, or people are at work, or what? For the Americans, then, it would be the middle of the night. They'd be out of it completely. If I did it here just before I went to bed, if I did it, say, at 9 o'clock and ran to 10:30, that would mean it's still no good for Americans. It's 5 in the morning for California, and it would be around 1 in the afternoon for Europe. Anyway, feedback, please. Feedback, either in the chat here today or by email. Okay, there's our first group. Again, as I said, first roughed out. They need to have a bump at the top and taper to nothing at the bottom. They look okay at the moment, but test proof will tell. There's our first group. That's going to be my job for the next week or so, couple of weeks. Well, you said we're fine with 2 a.m. That's your viewpoint, but there really are a lot of people who, can't or don't want to stay up to 2 o'clock. And did I solve the pudding mystery? No, but I ate one. There's 6 of them in there. I ate one, and I am not going to eat any more. I put them up in the printer's workroom. Please help yourself. It was sweet beyond belief. Sweet beyond belief. You mix the stuff up and put it in. You can smell the sugar smell in the air, and put the hot water in. And I ate it, but oh my God. I think in the comments to the chat the other day here, somebody wrote the snide remark, looks like diabetes in a cup. And hontoni, that's what it is. It's like a cup full of sugar. if you spoon just sugar into a cup and ate it. So if it was somebody out here, thank you for the idea, but it's kind of sweet, so. Yeah, the time comes, you can't please everyone. I'm from EU and I think this works all right. But the point was that rather than have every stream each week at exactly the same time, maybe have at least one of them, or every 2 weeks or something, have a variant stream where people who were not able, you know. Has the issue with the Izakiya staff's bicycle been resolved? No, because it hasn't really started yet. I know they've been not busy. There's one staff member standing there. When they become busy later on, if things start to grow, then neighborhood has to have discussions. But at the moment, there's no real issue yet. It's just a potential issue. Anyway, thanks for the ideas. I will read carefully later on. Now, please give me your ideas about this timing. You know, I know many people say, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. But there are people also who don't say it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And they're the ones who aren't here. What's this? Are you shaking us off, Dave? Do an email poll. I don't know. I don't have time to get messed around with stuff like that. But does my mom have a British accent? Why did you ask her? She's here. I know my memory of my mother's accent is that during daily conversation, my mother was just another Canadian like the rest of us. But when she picked up the telephone, it became hello, because it was a more formal situation. So my mother turned British when she was on the telephone. Maybe she still does this. I don't know. Hello, Gubner is not her language, but whatever. So hi. Now some of these, you know, they bump into each other. So which ones to do first? You can't cut these smoothly because they bump into this, and you can't cut that smoothly because it bumps into something else. So that was easy. It was just isolated, and now they start to get patchy and mixed. So let's isolate a group. Speaking about the British accents, you know, I must have had one, you know. There's pictures in our family photo album. My mum has passed some of these pictures on to me. There's a picture of me, and I must be 4.5 or something, going on 5. We left Britain a few months before my 6th birthday, so this would have been, I would have been 5. And it's a picture of me outfitted for school. I've got my school blazer, my cap, my short pants. And I must be, as I said, 5 or something like that. And the school I was going to at that time, it doesn't exist anymore. I've Googled it and Googled it. I actually tried to go over there and see it one day when I went back to Britain in the 1970s. It was called Newnham College Preparatory School. And it was a kindergarten / elementary school, I guess, whatever. But I don't remember any of it at all myself. But there's these pictures. And you can see the little boy's accent. And it was a preparatory school. So they were training, it was the very early rudimentary steps of training people to be, you know, leaders. So the accents must have been absolutely Queen's English. So whatever accent I had got from my parents, who grew up as working class British people and ended up as middle class Canadian people, whatever accent I must have got from them would have been absolutely changed at that school. And I must have put on this posh little young upper classish voice, I guess. It goes with the blazer and the cap and everything else, you know. So that must have been what I had when I was 5/6, and then dropped into a Canadian elementary school on the Canadian prairies. Would put short work to that little accent. So, But I'd love to hear myself at age 5. Well, I'd cringe if I heard it, but I'd love to just hear it and see what it was like. You know, I can't imitate it now. I can't do it. I have no British accents. You know. But you can see it in that photograph. You can see his accent. You know. If we had stayed in Britain, what would I be? Who would I be? You know, no idea. No idea. I should be careful. My mother thinks perhaps if she's listening to this, perhaps thinks I'm dissing that. You know, I'm not. I'm just I'm quite curious about it. You know, my parents actually probably spent more money than they could afford to send me to a school like that, I guess. But so my mom says you were a well-mannered, well-brought-up English schoolboy. So I'm not being negative about this. I'm just describing it from the world I grew up as a Canadian teenager. That British scene seems quite alien, but I have no regrets for it at all. The first 5 years of my life being brought up in a fairly strict but very polite, well-behaved environment that made me basically who I am. So I'm not in any way being negative about this, Mom. I'm just curious about it. You know, I'd love to see a video of that little boy in his cap and blazer bowing to the school ma'am. It's just really interesting for me, you know. Also, Mom, I think I had a memory of this. I know the school fees. This may be wrong. I have a memory that Dad's employer, Oscar, the leader of the band that Dad was playing in, he helped with the school fees. I think I was told this at some point along the line. Was that true, or is that part of it? I don't know. So in Canada she sounds English, but in England she sounds Canadian. Interesting, I guess so. I guess so. I shouldn't sit here reading this. I can read this at lunch later on. I shouldn't sit here reading this. I'm sorry. I want to join the conversation. So I was saying, did I get disciplined physically? No, I didn't do anything wrong. I got disciplined in Canada. I remember getting the strap at one point in elementary school in Canada, but in Britain, no, I don't think so. So Mom's saying he paid for school fees. Interesting. That's it. Really interesting. Oscar, this is Oscar. For those of you who don't know what's going on here, this is Oscar Rabin. I'll put the name in here. This was my dad's Oscar Rabin. You can Google him. He was in the 1930s and 40s, before our family was involved. He was a very, very famous British dance band leader. Oscar Rabin and Harry Davis had a famous dance band. In the post-war period, when my dad grew up a bit and learned instruments, my dad was the baritone sax player for Oscar's band through, I don't know when he went there, late 48, 49, through the 1950s, into the mid-1950s. So Oscar Rabin was my dad's employer. My dad was a baritone player and part of the vocal quartet in the band. I learned lots about this. When I was with my dad in his final, the final couple of weeks of his life, he told us lots of stories about this time, you know. Myself and my daughter Fumi spent lots of time with my dad, and he told stories that I'd never heard before, you know. They're all gone now. Dad was the last one from that band, you know. was the last survivor. They were stars, not like rock stars like the Rolling Stones or Beatles, but in their milieu, they were stars, They used to tour around England. They had a band bus, and they toured around, playing each night in a different dance hall. My mom sat at home with the kids back in London, and my dad is in the band bus out there. This was before they got their residency at Leicester Square. I think they were at the I forget which theatre they were at in Leicester Square. They had a residency in London for all through the mid-1950s. But before that, they were touring night after night after night. There's sunshine out there. Beautiful day today. Mixed feelings about that. When it's rainy, it's usually a bit warmer. because it's sort of southern tropical stuff coming up from the south, it's moister and warmer. And when it's bright, clear sky, it's usually really cold because it's the northern, it's the clear, cold northern Russian stuff coming down. But the last few days were an exception. It was rainy a couple of days ago, and it was so chilly. It was one of those bone-chilling rainy days where it was rainy and cold. And on top of that, it was windy. It was just god-awful. All of us were just complaining about it. And today looks better. Today looks clear and cold, and it's not so windy out there. So. Now this next one's not going to be easy because these all interfere with each other. There's no way to really slide. So let's just grab a place to start here. It's going to be a bit random here. Everything bangs into everything else here. This is fun. These are fun to carve. There's another aspect to them, though. When it comes to the printing time, the printers are, well, they're going to do it, but they're not going to be all that overly happy about this, because whenever you've got a bunch of lines in a specific orientation, what you do is you rub the pigment on, you'll rub the pigment on, and at the final stage, you rub your brush along with the lines, and it pulls the last little bit of paste out between them. But you get the idea. When the lines here are going every which way, there's this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, you rub your pigment over, and now what do? All you can do is hope for the best. You just put your brush up and delicately, sat, 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 sat. But if you spend too long, sat, 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 it all dries out. So this is going to be touch and go for the printer. So you've got to find that right balance between pigment and paste. Otherwise, the paste will get stuck between all these lines. They'll do it, but they'll be thinking, here we go. How firm are the hairs on a printing brush? I can't tell you in words. I don't know what I can say in words. The brush is, it's horsehair, and it has to be both firm and, there's a paradox here. If we use like a goat hair, floppy brush, the pigment doesn't get spread out on the block. So the hairs have to have a firmness like this. You can see them. This is horsehair. But if they are strong, then the hairs at the end leave streaks in the printed pigment. So it's got to be strong and firm at the body of the hair and delicate at the top of the hair. And this brush right now I'm holding, it's one that is not prepped for printing yet. It's a brush that I use for just cleaning my block. If this was going to be made ready for printing, we would take it to the shark skin, rub it on the shark skin surface, which has tiny teeth all over it. And what the teeth do is they tear up the top of the hair, so the very tips of the hair get all softened and split. So we have a brush with good body for spreading pigment around, but the tips are soft so they don't leave striations in the paste on the block. This one is not prepped. It's still way too hard. If I tried to print with this one, the firmness of these hairs would leave stripes in the pigment. So this is a printing brush, but it's not prepped for printing. Mane or tail, it's a mix, it's a blend. I know it's a really, really interesting thing. I know I don't know the details myself. Sekine-san, he's long dead now. 20 years ago, he's dead. Was the best brush maker in town. Kintaro, this is a Kintaro brush. Kintaro was the top gun all through the post-war period. He was the most famous one. Then Sekine-san, who didn't have a big name, but my God, he was good. He was skinny as a rake. You could see his bones, and he chain smoked. You go in the room, and there's a haze. You duck below the clouds to talk to the guy. It was unbearable. But the brushes were just so good. I'd had one given to me. Oh my God, what is this? So I called the guy up. I've been given one of your brushes. I want to get some more. Yeah, we're kind of busy. No, please, I want to come and see. So I come and see the guy. I get in there. And he says, what do you want? And I say, well, I want another brush just like this one, So he takes it, oh yeah, that's. And he did something really, really interesting. He's got this cupboard in front of him, and it's full of horsehair vertically. Like he gets the hair, tests it, tastes it, puts it into this rack he's got. And I've got no idea how it's sorted out, but there's all these different kinds of hair. He tests this brush I'd given him. And he does this. He pulls a bit of this and a bit of this and a bit of this, rolls it together and flexes it and says, what do you think about this? And I had no idea. It wasn't a brush. It was a bunch of loose hair. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he knew I didn't know. But he says, yeah, I think that's the blend we need. And the point is, it was a blend. This guy had mane. He had tail. He had mane from Hokkaido, mane from Kyushu, different parts of Japan. He had mane from Hokkaido summer trim, mane from Hokkaido winter trim. He had this deck full of all this different kinds of hair, and he would know, oh yeah, we need a bit more Hokkaido summer in there. I'm like, I just want to brush. And that's now, that level of knowledge is now finished. It's gone, and there's no way it's going to come back. There's no way. You could give me all these hairs, put them in the cupboard, and what am I going to do with it? There's that level of knowledge. It had to be accumulated over a couple of hundred years, and then it's been cut and thrown away, and nobody can now pick up the pieces and gather that knowledge together. It will never, ever, ever happen. If there was a consumer demand for thousands of brushes all over the place, yes, different people would start making them and get some kind of knowledge back together. But there's no consumer demand for this. Like a dozen people in the world want these. So there's not enough demand to support that level of knowledge of creation. And the frustrating part for us is these brushes, they're consumable products. They disappear. So it's not like I've got a set of brushes I can use for the rest of my life and pass them on to my apprentices. No, brushes wear out and disappear. Such is life. Such is life. Of course, it could be replicated. It could probably be replicated with some 3D printed fiber, blah, 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 blah. But until the people making it have the communication with the people using it, and the people using it say, no, it doesn't quite work. It's a bit too stiff. Okay, we'll try something else. Without that feedback back and forth that happened in the old day naturally over a period of a couple of hundred years, it was still going on. He asked me, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want it a bit stronger? Do you want it a bit weaker? And if I had been able to communicate that to him, he would have pulled out the different hairs from that rack and made it for me. He died of lung cancer. Big surprise. That room was unbearable. I was just choking to death. I wanted to be there to learn about brush hairs, and I was just running, Dave, get out of here before you die. We should have gone in there with video and tape recorders and just everything. We just should have gone in there and tried to get him to talk about it. Whether or not he could have verbalized much of this, I don't know. He had no apprentice. Of course not. There's no business. He was actually a really nice guy, you know. I gave him one of my prints at that point. When I first got some brushes from him, you know, what I was trying to do was, what I didn't want was to go over there and he'd think, oh, I'm dumb foreigner, he doesn't know what's going on here, just show him crap of anything. I wanted to avoid that. So I took some of my prints with me. And actually I left some with him that first day I went. This was when I was making my Surimono albums. And it turned out that this guy actually had some prints himself. He was a little bit interested in the old ukiyo-e prints. This is unusual for one of those craftsmen. And I found out later, hearing from other people, that, hey, Sekine-san, he was blown away by those prints you gave me. You know, he didn't stop talking about him. He showed me that one of Mount Fuji. I'm like, really? Wow, that's cool, thank you. Wow, great, nice to hear that. So he had, I did manage to establish some credibility with him. So over the following few years, as I ordered brushes bit by bit, he must have actually tried to do a nice job and tried to make nice brushes for me, you know. And one day I phone up to, you know, get some more brushes ordered, and it's his wife, and he's gone. Nobody knew he's gone. You know, like, why didn't you tell me? I could have ordered a. None of them tell that story, don't. The same with the block maker, Shimano-san. He was dying of stomach cancer, didn't tell anybody except his wife. And she was under, you know, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody. So I'm phoning him up, where's the blocks I needed? The blocks started 2 months ago, you know, what's going on? I need these. And the guy was dying of stomach cancer, you know, without telling anybody. conversation here. I will read this at lunchtime. I'm going to have a pie. At lunchtime, it's going to be Jerry Spy's pie. And it's going to be chicken and cream mushroom. Like, you need to know this. I got a box of Jerry's pies. I told you, I got 12 pies. They have a 6-pack of variety, and then I got 3 beef and beer and 3 chicken and mushroom. So it'll be Jerry's pies. They're kind of small, which actually is okay. I don't want to overeat, but they're kind of small. So it's going to be Jerry's pies and soup. Dave was speaking of making a field trip a few weeks back. I don't know what we're talking about. I'm sorry. A field trip. Remind me what we were talking about. I'm sorry. I went to Ome last week to get my haircut and pick up some stuff from the collection. A stroll around Asakusa. You mean like a video or something? There's nothing to see in Asakusa right now. It's closed shutters and quiet streets. I know. Oh, also too, speaking of closed shutters, today's the last day. Well, tomorrow's the last day. The woodblock print shop in the next block is history. They're gone. They opened in Meiji 39 or something was their opening date, and they moved here to the block next to us a couple of years after they saw us move here. And I was on my way to Starbucks the other day. I walked down to the Starbucks to get a chai tea latte, and I passed them, and they were outside, him and his wife, with their car, loading boxes into the car. And without being prying, I'm like, "How you doing? What's going on? How you doing?" On him. She says, it was pretty obvious they're done. They're packing. The end of the month is the end of their lease, 3-year lease, and they're finished. And I was asked, can you hold on till the tourists come back? Because the vaccines, it looks like they're going to come back. She says, "No, we're done." And their lease is up the end of this month, so today must be either they're already out of there or the last day of packing today. So I have really, 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 really mixed feelings about this. I came back and mentioned this to other staff, Aoyama-san and Cameron. I have really mixed feelings, and both of these things are absolutely true. Half of me is sad. I mean, the business that's been here for over 100 years, they're closing down, in a woodblock print business closing down. I know. Half of me is sad to see that. The other half is, we're not closing. We made it. But that's so far. Next year, who knows? And the reason they're closing is they have no online structure. They just only have a shop. They had a real mix of stuff. They had some absolute junk and some absolute treasures. They played both ends of it. They had been part of that. Look, let's go down. Let's sell cheap. They had 100 yen postcards. They had really badly printed postcards. And they had some nice stuff. They also sold color copies of Hiroshi Yoshida prints. Hiroshi Yoshida's out of copyright, so they had color copies of them in the shop. We've talked about this before. I was in there with my daughter one day in their shop in front of the Imperial Hotel. And me and my daughter, she was like 15 or so, 13 or 15 at the time. We were looking at the shop. And a woman had come in and picked up one of these photocopies, And my daughter looks at me like, "What are you going to do, Dad?" And I'm like, "I'm not going to do anything." And the woman says, "Is this a real woodblock print?" And the guy says, "Yes, this is a real Japanese woodblock print design." And me and my daughter are like, okay. What were the names? It's called Sakai Kokodo. Sakai-san, he's the owner. The family's been in the business. It's the same family that owns the big museum up in Matsumoto that's closed right now. What's it called? The Japan Ukiyo-e Museum? Nihon Ukiyo-e Hakubutsukan? The family owns that. This guy's son is the current kancho. It's closed at the moment, but I think they're holding on. They had planned to open an Asakusa branch of that museum. They started construction a year ago. That's apparently done. The building is blank. There's nothing there. And they have now closed their shop here. So I think the family is okay. They've just closed this shop and they're hunkering down. The museum, I believe, is still staying there. No idea. Google it up, look at it. I don't know. No idea. Ukiyoegallery.net. I don't think this is the same people. John's got the Ukiyo-e Museum in Matsumoto. This is the same family, and the current Kancho-san, the current director of the museum, is the son of the man who has just closed his shop here. Sakai, here we are. Sakai Kokodo. Hi. So I don't know to what level they are shutting down all of their businesses. I don't know. I think they're just probably going to sleep for a while. The lease on this particular shop ran out, and rather than continue it like I did, I re-signed from my lease, even though there's no customers here. But these guys have no online sales, so perhaps they simply made their calculation a bit different. Maybe when the tourists are back, they will try and find another shop and reopen. I don't know. I don't believe they are bankrupt or anything like this. I think they've just simply closed their Asakusa shop. And again, some of the employees here, they're like, this is good news. We have no competition now. And I really, really, really don't see any of those things in these terms. When I heard a few years ago they were opening here, I was not unhappy. I was happy about this. And this is no joke. If we are here in Mokuhankan, if the empty building across the street became Adachi, if the building next door became Sakai Kokodo, if 3 or 4 other woodblock print shops opened clustering around me, I would be the happiest cat in town. You know why? Because every foreigner that comes to this town would make his way down this street. And I got no problem with competition. We can hold our own with every other print shop. I would love to see that. That's what the Kanda Book District almost used to be like. There were print shops all the way down that street when I first came to Japan. And every time I came here, I went straight down there. So I'm not happy about this closing at all. They had their business, we had ours. We would occasionally get an experience when we had our shop a couple of years ago. Occasionally somebody would come in and he's carrying a bag. He's bought prints at Sakai's shop. And he'd come in and he'd say, Dave, I just bought my prints. And he thought that was me. He had come from the temple, walking down the street. He's in a Asakusa woodblock print shop. That must be Dave's place. He goes in there, buys some stuff, walks down the street some more, sees my sign. What have I done? This happened again and again and again. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Oh, look at this show and tell. What's going on? I haven't got any work done. This is going to be one of those days. This is going to be one of those days. Yeah, I carved 50 hairs. I didn't carve 50 hairs. I carved 23 hairs. That's all I got done in an hour and a half. Thanks to you guys. 23 hairs. Every stream show and tell already. It's the same thing, isn't it? Well, it's the same story. What can I say? Remember, for me, the base work, all the years in Ome when I was just working by myself, in the morning I'd get up, get the shower, get breakfast, head downstairs, 8, 8:39, whatever time, get to the carving bench, and it would happen, you know, what's going on? The light's changing. It's getting dark because I'd just been there. I'd maybe had my lunch with me, you know. That's the baseline for me, is to sit quietly and do the work. What's happening here is an aberration. Someone's asking, could we raid somebody else? I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry. I see raids coming in here, but I have no idea how to do that. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. I put the link in here. This is the name of the book. I don't know how it's actually pronounced. It's nishiki, as in brocade. It's fukuro, bag, and it's cho, a collection of images. And this is a book. It's a book about bags. It's all, of course, woodblock prints. The other day, I showed you a design book. And this is another similar such book. This is published by the famous old Unsodo company. They're still in business, although they don't do stuff like this anymore. And actually the publisher, I know his son. This is Honda Ichijiro, and he was one of the owners of Unsodo at that time. I know his son, or it's his grandson. I don't know what's what. I obviously don't know this guy, because this is Taisho 10. And Honda-san, when I first came to Japan, was one of the operators and owners of Unsodo in the Tokyo branch. And this is Shimomura, who is the designer of the book here. Let's page through. It's a bit of a fragile book. It's coming apart at the seams. It's another album. And again, it's as with all of the Unsodo projects, it's 100% woodblock. The covers, the bindings, everything else is totally woodblock. Birds, flowers, it's just, again, design motifs for just no purpose other than the pleasure. An opening poem and an opening explanation of what's going on, and then we get to the book itself. And this is the content. This is what we're going to see. It's bags, bags, and more bags. And whether he has designed these out of his head or whether these are bags that actually existed and this is a collection of bag designs, I don't know. What we're seeing is woodblock prints. Why would they use woodblock prints for this? Because back in those days, I give my daughter, yeah, right? So. Because this was before color printing. It was before color offset printing was a cheap and accessible thing. And it was very common for museum collection books or books like this to be done in woodblock printing. But what I don't know is whether these are real bags that are being shown here this way, or whether he was just drawing a book of bag designs and they existed in real life or not. I don't know. And what the bags would be used for, you're a little bit beyond my pay grade there. I don't know, tea ceremony stuff, or people carrying gifts, a bag inside your purse. I don't really know. Bats, yeah, bats. And it goes on, page by page by page. It's glued together. I can't actually get access to the back. It's an accordion type book, but there's binding at the back, so I can't actually get to the back side of each one. Yeah, they're woodblock, of course. And before the stream came on this morning, I found a link to a page. Where are we here? I found a link to a page here where a book dealer is selling this one. So if you're curious yourself and you wanted one of these, that dealer has a copy of this book. Yeah, they look like vases, doesn't it? If you didn't know they were bags, you would think maybe these are actually ceramics. And this actually, to me, this looks like now a ceramic thing. Is that what's gone inside here? I don't know. That doesn't look like a bag. This looks ceramic. Yeah, 55,000 yen. I didn't pay that much for this. I don't know what I paid for this. I got this years and years and years ago. This is from the collection in Ome, and I have no memory of when I got this. I would have found it in a book dealer at some point, and I would never have paid 55,000. I would have paid max 2,000 or 3,000 yen for this. I must have had this at least 20 years or so. Yeah, this is Kyoto printing. So for those of you who know what's going on here, anytime you see the white type stuff here, whether it's white or gray, this is very different from the kind of printing that you see us do here at Mokuhankan. Whenever you see a lighter color on top of a dark color like this, this is printed with opaque pigments on top. And these are a complete blend of overprinted opaque pigments. Totally different from the kind of printing that we do here at Mokuhankan. That's paper color. But the white here, the white is printed on top. This is Kyoto printing. Well, I see. Kwantar is on a, it is tea ceremony, is it? Silk pouch with a drawstring for holding a tea caddy. Tea ceremony. Okay, that makes sense. Is it just tea ceremony, or are there other uses? We've got some offsetting here, these two. I should put some interleaving between these to stop that. I don't know about the design. I know nothing at all about fabric design in Japan. To me, these seem a bit sort of, what's the word? They seem a bit dull. I'm not trying to be insulting, I'm just saying they seem to be sort of dullish in tone. And whether that's an artifact of the printing or the age of the prints, or simply the style when these were made in the 1920s, whatever it was, I don't know. But I would have expected something rather more colorful, a bit more bright. All of these seem to be done with quite dark tones. Rather an interesting number of gradations on this one. I don't know how many blocks they would have made there. You do them in combinations. It's not one separate block for every one of those. They'd be done in combination groups, but that's a lot of work for that one. And it's page after page after page of bags. And I guess if it was tea ceremony, you don't want anything that's gaudy, I suppose. And again, I don't know the background so much. And maybe now the fact that they look a bit sort of dreary here is because of the age. This book is pretty much 100 years old. And maybe when these were bright and fresh and when the paper was a bit more bright, they didn't have such a dreary aspect to them. But to me now, it looks kind of a bit, I don't know, overall dull. It just goes on and on and on, page after page after page of these things. No, this is not something we are selling. This is part of our collection of books to show woodblock printmaking technique. So we haven't photographed it yet. This is on schedule now to be photographed, and it will be online in our collection at some point in the coming months. It's going to take a while to get caught up. Looks African. I mean, is this stuff Japanese, or was it the rest of the world during this time was nuts about Japan, Japonism? What was Japan doing? I don't know. I'm also not sure what this is. Is it a slit in the fabric? Is this something sewn on? Is this where the fabric is folded? I don't know the geometry of what we're looking at here. Have I photographed the kimono catalog? No, not yet. We're catching up. We spent all day Friday, a week ago Friday was a photography day. We're getting on it, but lots of double designs. I think what they are, the designs that are patchy, something like this, I think this is sewn together from different pieces of kimono fabric, is Dave's guess here. This is obviously a single piece of fabric cut and folded around. The ones that are patchy, I believe, are literally patchy. They're made from different. I gotta be careful. This is tearing here. I gotta be careful. Excuse me. Can't pick it up there. And there we have it. There we have it. It's got the usual Unsodo mark. Copyright protected. Please do not copy. These are the Unsodo kanji you should learn if you're interested in older books like this. Unsodo. And here's our date. This is Taisho 10. And the designer is Shimomura. I don't know how to pronounce his first name. This is Tama, and this is Hiro, Hiroshige. Tamahiro, perhaps? I don't know. And then this is Honda Ichijiro, who is one of the owners of Unsodo at the time. Okay, there we have it. Another small window on Japanese woodblock printmaking. Japanese woodblock printmaking wasn't just about famous Utamoto prints, it was about woodblock printing as a technology. As a technology. So a bit dreary today, sorry, but another part of the package. One more brick in the wall, just showing about what woodblock printing was capable of doing. In the days before easy color printing, easy color photography, you wanted to make a color catalog of your bags, woodblock printmaking was really the only game in town. Okay, there we have it. It's now Saturday morning. I'll be back here Monday morning, and I'll be carving more dog hair. That's what you're going to get from me for the next few weeks. In the meantime, sit tight. Video coming to YouTube later this afternoon. If you're in Europe, don't wait up for it, because it's going to take me quite some hours. I haven't done the voiceover yet, and I've got about 30 minutes of voiceovers to do. This video is going to be about 1 hour long. So don't wait up for it if you're in Europe. The rest of you may see it later this afternoon, this evening. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, video for sure this weekend. Thanks for watching, guys. A bucket, a cherry picker. Who knows what's it for? No idea. He's stopping. Thanks. I'll see you Monday morning. Thanks again. Bye-bye for now. And any feedback, please, on the idea of doing at least one stream now and then, once a week, once a month, something at a different time zone to suit our European friends. Let me know what you think about that stuff. Bye-bye. Thanks for now. And I am headed off for a big, big cup of hot, hot, hot coffee. See you soon.